This morning's Coffee With is with Jeff Kinney.
And the satellite introduced first by 20th Century Fox. Hey, Jeff, good morning. Welcome to WJZ. How you doing?
Good morning to you.
Jeff, you were from Maryland, and you went to the University of Maryland. Where are you from?
I am from Fort Washington, Maryland, born and raised.
Maryland. Okay.
So you and Lynn are both former Terps.
Yes, I went there too.
That's right. I don't know if you can be a former Terp. I think you're a Terp for life.
Okay, all right. Well,
forever.
okay, let me rephrase that. You're a former student Terp for life. Now, I have a question for you. Lynn has admitted to being part of flash mobs that closed down US 1 after victories against Duke and North Carolina. Did you ever do such folly?
I didn't. I was a really respectful, fan, and I never did anything like that.
Oh.
No fire setting, nothing like that.
Well, what a deal. Wait a minute. This is cool. So you did a comic strip in the school newspaper.
Yeah, the Diamondback?
Yeah, I had a comic called Igdoof, and that was my big plan. I left with a freshly minted criminal justice degree. I was going to go off into the world and become a syndicated newspaper cartoonist, and then harsh reality hit. I spent about 3 years trying to get syndicated. I didn't get any positive feedback whatsoever, and I decided to take a different path. And so I started working on Diary of a Wimpy Kid in 1998. I was published in 2007.
Well, look at you now. I mean, a hugely successful book series, and the 4th film is what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, wow, I'm really lucky. I have 11 books out there, but 4 of them have been made into films. You know, there aren't too many book series that get multiple films made, so I'm just on this wild ride, and I don't want it to end.
Well, tell us about The Long Haul. Basic premise.
Yeah, The Long Haul is a road trip movie. It was actually conceived as a book to be a movie. It was the first one that I was really writing with a movie in mind. So it's filled with these set pieces and these wild scenes. We have a scene where a flock of seagulls invades the inside of the car. They pick up a pig along the way. It's a lot of fun, actually. There's some action to it. We've never really done that in the Wimpy Kid movies.
So you wrote it with the movie in mind. Did it live up to what you expected, what you imagined?
Yeah, it's really fun to see some of those things come to life. In the books, I have this pig character who looks almost like he's got human emotion. So in the movie, we were using a real pig. And we had a few robot pigs also as backup. So sometimes when you see the pig in the movie, it's actually a robot.
You know, you're writing one of the toughest genres going. I remember having a conversation with Tom Clancy, who was a good friend of this show. Great memory. And he said, you know, look, I talked to some generals, I take some basic facts, and I let my warrior go for it. But when you're doing kids stuff, I remember speaking with Jardine Nolan from Columbia, you really have to massage it. You really have to, you just can't write down what first comes to your mind. Would you agree?
I think so. I actually have had a really weird path because when I wrote the books to begin with, when I wrote the first book, I wrote a 1,300-page first draft, and I wrote it for adults. I thought my best case was that the book would sit in the humor section of the bookstore. I didn't even know about the middle grade section. So I was writing for grown-ups who loved comics. And so I worked on that. I worked that way for 8 years without thinking of a kid's audience at all. So now when I write my books, I still try not to think about the end user, if you will, the actual kids at the end of the process, because I want to keep writing like I did before. I think if you write in a way, in an aspirational sort of way, if you write for grown-ups, I think kids will meet you there.
Out of sight. Hey, listen, our time has run short. It's been great hanging out with you. You got Lynn's Terp blood boiling. You'd think we're talking to Mellow Tremble himself.
What?
What a deal. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul, it's out. Jeff Kinney, thanks so much for being here, and welcome home, hon.
Thank you.
The pleasure's all ours.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much. All right, cool.